delay, so don't be worried about that. Um, so there is a partial delay on when it goes out.
Oh, okay. Worry about that?
So if you, yeah, so whatever you're watching on or delay, you're gonna have to turn that volume down because otherwise you will get all kinds of feedback. And we are on live now, so I'd like to say thank you for listening to. You're listening to Black Coffee, and we are going to go and let's get this out. There you go. Everyone's face should be coming on. Well, we bring this conversation together, and I wanted to get you ladies' point of view and your thoughts because for many things, Black Coffee's conversations, what I want it to be is real conversations about real issues that's going on, and this can't be any more realer than what we're going through right now. The climate that we're in, it's not a climate that hasn't been done before. We've been through this before, and it seems like we're going to go through this continuously. Dr. Martin Luther King talked about it. Even in 1966, I had a post about it, about his feeling about rioting and upset black. But you guys are mothers. I mean, I want to introduce yourself from you guys talking to me. Thank you for listening to Black Coffee Conversations. You guys can also listen to this if you want to re-record it. For people who are listeners who missed the beginning, it's going to be on my podcast channel, Bridges Live, and then I'll repost it out there on YouTube. So for anyone who's missed it and want to recapture it, they can also catch it. But Sherry, introduce yourself to the public and let people know what you do, and we'll keep going over.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Sherry Ford, and I currently reside in the city of Chicago, having recently relocated here from San Francisco, and I currently work for the U.S. Department of Labor.
And my beautiful wife is over to my right, how I see it, and then there you go, Janine. Go ahead.
Well, hi, I'm Janine. Like you said, I'm your beautiful wife. And I've been a nurse in the medical field for about 28 years now. And I work for a private company, taking care of for a private family. And I am just excited to be a part of this forum this morning because I think that with the current situation of what's going on across this country, it's definitely something that we need to discuss and do something about.
And Cousin Cheryl, you're down there to my bottom left. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning. My name is Cheryl Barnett. I am a certified life coach focusing on transformation, and I support individuals who are trying to get to their good stuff really fast and learning how to work with your energy. I'm also a marketer for 10 plus years or so. I won't say how long to date myself, but I've been working in marketing communications for several years for some of the top brands across the company, as well as pharmaceutical and biotech companies as well.
And Dr. Latasha Holden, you're right there next to that. And please mention that you're the National Woman of the Year recipient. And so I just want to give you congratulations. I just think you've done a lot of beautiful things in all of you, but please go ahead, Dr. Latasha.
Well, hi everyone. I am Dr. Latasha Holden. I am a native of Atlanta, Georgia, where I currently still reside. I was recently chosen to represent the state of Georgia as Mother of the Year, and I was also honored to be the 85th woman to ever hold the U.S. title of being the National Mother of the Year. I am a mother of 6 children.
Ooh, God bless.
African males and 3 African American daughters. So it definitely is an honor to be on this live event. And thank you, Dr. Dyer, for having me.
Absolutely. And Dr. Karen Lomax, please.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you all for having me on. Well, I'm Dr. Karen Lomax. I'm an Army chaplain. I'm an author. I'm also a professional life coach and have my own life coaching academy. Also the founder and president of Karen Lomax Ministries as well. I'm just enjoying this, and what a better, no better way to start off a morning than to talk about our community and what's going on. So I'm very, very appreciative to be on the same panel as these beautiful and knowledgeable young women.
And we know we want to put all things in prayer first. So people who are listening, please, Karen, give us a short prayer.
All right. Father, we just thank you for everyone who's out there watching, everyone who's listening. Soothe troubled minds, heal troubled hearts on today, Father. Let us go forward in you, and let us remember that all things are of you and by you, and without you, we can do nothing. So today we just give you all praise, honor, and glory in Jesus Christ's name. Amen and amen.
Amen. So we know we're here talking about not so much about George Floyd, but as mothers. This is a concern because black mothers have been mothering our nation, the black men, since whenever, right? And so I want to hear your take on your feelings and your emotional state or your feelings about what's going on. So that's just really the conversation we're having, is we need to hear your voice, because right now we're not hearing the woman's voice, we're hearing anger.
Yes.
As a mother, there are many different things that go through your at different stages of parental rearing. Of course, when you're rearing a child, the different stages of the child growing up and teaching your child different life skills, and then certainly as the child, particularly a male child, gets older, the things that you're teaching them when they're ready to begin leaving home, whether it's just going to the corner store or going to school, and then before they're heading out to their first junior high date or Cub Scout meeting or whatnot. But there's another set of life skills that you have to teach them when they're, beginning to drive, if you will, or ride their bike when they're going to be gone for a period of time, if you will, from home. But there's also that conversation, and it's a different conversation, obviously, that I would have as opposed to their father or a father having with them, and that's that conversation that has to be had with a male child. What happens not if, but when you're stopped by the police or a person of authority? And sometimes it's not even the police, unfortunately. What happens when you're stopped by, let's just be honest, a white individual? The manner in which you need to speak to that individual, how you need to stay calm, how you must not become belligerent, the manner in which you need to answer those questions, whether or not you even want to answer those questions. And one of the reasons I'm saying that is, take Georgia, for example, a citizen's arrest. Those individuals weren't even people of authority.
No.
What badge did they even hold? And it just evokes some type of feeling. Yes, anger. You can still be shot. There's always that feeling that your son may not come home. Of course, there's always the feeling that something could go wrong, and there's something that could happen with your daughter, certainly. But there's just a different feeling with our sons that something is going to go horribly wrong. And particularly if they get pulled out of the car. That's going to be something completely different. And people like to say that, oh, those days are long gone. Those are gone days.
No.
The ill days are gone. People aren't going to get tied to a tree. All of those different visions aren't going to be invoked in your mind. But that's not true. And now we're envisioning George Floyd's murder, and we're reliving that on social media.
So are we headed towards dismay, total collapse? Is that what do you I mean, because let's get it. As a man, we may not be as sensitive, but as women, as mothers, as friends, as niece, aunties, and so many things that you are, what are you guys feeling?
Well, it's like Sherry was saying. It invokes anger. It invokes just a heavy heart, because I look at my nephews who are good boys. They do well in school. They love playing sports. They help their mom around the house. They're just really good boys. But unfortunately, when they walk out that door,
Just a black boy.
white America does not see them as we do. They see them automatically as a threat. And it's really, like I said, it makes my heart very heavy to have to worry about when my sister calls me and says, CJ went out to a high school dance, and I got to sit outside and wait for him all night until he's done, because I don't trust him being out here to walk home or to get a ride with somebody else. I'm going to stay right here. So she literally will go to the dance and she'll sit outside the whole time because she's that fearful. And it's just such a sad day that we live like this, in a country that was built on our ancestors' backs, and during this time, we need each other more than we have ever needed each other before. We are descendants of kings and queens, and we need to respect one another within our communities. We need to come together. We need to protect one another. We need to respect one another. We need to stand up for one another. Fighting amongst ourselves is no longer an option. We must come together and figure this out as a community. Not look to others to get us out of this or to help us, because they have no stake in the game. Mm-hmm. We must save ourselves.
Right.
We must save ourselves.
So at a certain time, there comes a point where we have to abandon certain conditioning. Mm-hmm. And we have to start to create new conditions, right? So, and in falling to anger and falling to fear and falling to insecurity, then we're going on, those are like conditions, right? And so then we're reacting to those conditions. And our generations are coming up and they're also learning the same conditions. So to your point, Janine, about, your sister having to actually sit there and watch her, what the process is that her son is going through just to protect him, there has to be a collective of conditioning where our children they know what their playing ground is. They know what field they're on. And so that they can use their intellect accordingly. I mean, you look at history repeats itself over and over again, right? So the cycles are going to happen until we as a country learn about it. This is nothing new. But like you said.
But Cheryl, we've been teaching.
Cheryl, but you do understand that even when we have been compliant,
right,
in situations where we have been compliant, still the outcome is fatal. So even if we teach our children to be compliant, yes sir, no sir, whatever it is that they need to do so they can make it home, there's still no guarantee that they're going to make it home.
No, it's not about compliance. It's about a strategy for survival. So
I agree with Janine. I agree with Janine, and here's my take on it. It's a community thing. We have taught our children, and especially our Black children, we as parents and as educators, we taught them to respect authority. We've always taught them respect your elders. We've always taught them to always respect, respect, respect. But who is teaching those that we've been teaching them to respect how to respect them back? And
Right.
so it's a community thing. And also we can sit here and we can say we're angry and we're mad because of this incident. Well, this incident is just one incident. And it's not say we should stay angry, but we should not just say, okay, for the moment, we're angry right now, and then when it dies down, we don't hear anything from our community until the next incident, when it should be an ongoing dialogue within our communities and other communities about the respect. But I also say this, the same way you have to teach someone how to love you, we have to teach people how to respect us, because they see us disrespecting one another on a daily.
Right.
They
Absolutely.
see that and they say, we don't care about us. Why should they care about us? So it's a respect thing, and it begins in our community. We have to learn how to respect one another and take care of one another, like Janine said, and be there for one another. So when these types of incidents happen, those who are on the outside of our community can't look at us and say, well, y'all do this to each other every day.
Yeah, people get into that adage that, well, what about black on black crime? Well, and that's the first excuse that they want to use and run to. Well, that's a separate issue, and that has nothing to do with you. It still does not provide you with an excuse to start killing people and putting knees in people's throats.
I know.
Right.
I know.
It's not an excuse, but we also need to make sure that it's not there for them to use as an excuse.
I agree.
Right.
Like, I know, Sherry, we talked right before we started to go live, and in Chicago, there's like over 30 black deaths that happened in Chicago within a week, and it has not been reported on any social media, any news.
Right.
So it's crazy, and because, like what you said, Karen, Dr. Karen, when you said about black on black crime, or they're like, oh, you guys kill each other anyway, so what's the difference if we kill you?
Right.
And we don't hear about it.
And you know
That's
what?
the thing. We're not hearing about those in our communities that are being. Why can we not publicize the ones that we are killing ourselves? So when something like this happens, it's not this whole sensationalism thing, but we're also policing ourselves within our community and holding each other accountable for taking a life. I don't want a black life to only matter if a white person takes it.
Right.
I want a black life to matter all the way across the board. I want our black men and women to know they matter to us.
And not just in Chicago. There's a lot of towns like that in the Midwest. I grew up in Muskegon, Michigan, and there are a lot of lives that get taken in Muskegon, and that makes the news in Muskegon, Michigan, and in some smaller media publications. Where's the help in the Midwest on that?
Right. Like that. Those young men and women have mothers too. Why are we not seeing their mothers, the ones who are dying in our communities by us? Why we're not hearing from their mothers? Why there's not a camera from there?
Right.
Well, as I said, you know, it is up to us to take care of our community. You know, you look at other groups, religious groups or ethnic groups, and they take care of their own. They look out for each other. We are the only race of people where you see the disrespect, our men, the way they disrespect our women. And it starts also with self-respect. If you don't have self-respect, then why would you think anybody else is going to respect you? So I see these young ladies out here, and they're loud, and clothes hanging off of them. And just
generational.
Right. And so I asked myself, because my husband and I, we talk about this a lot, as the governing adults right now, is it our fault? Because do we take responsibility? Because if they've never been taught, then how can we judge them for lack of a better word, if they've never been taught the right way. And as a governing adult, is it not our job then to teach them? Right?
Yes. Right.
These young ladies don't know self-respect if I haven't taken the time to sit down with them and say, listen, there's a certain way that you present yourself to the world, to yourself.
Dr. Holden, you have written children's books, and they were about being young black children. Is this like a book that now needs to be written to young black kids about how to?
Well, as I was listening to the ladies talk, I even as an ordained pastor myself, I do believe the reason why we're not actually moved like we say we are in the black community. It really takes accountability. It's easy to stand up when it's outside of your home. It's easy to go out there and riot when someone else do something, but we don't want to take accountability for what's going on in our house. It's just like I do believe the church is closed. God is doing that on purpose because we're so caught up that everything happens within the building, but God is saying, no, the work is outside of the building. And so for me as an author or inspirational speaker, even for me raising 6 black children and coming from homelessness in the streets of Atlanta, I now see, when my son texted me yesterday morning, I did a video on it yesterday. When he texted me yesterday morning, he'll be 31 the Lord's will next month. And he said, Mother, I served my time in the Marines, but he said, I'm scared. After seeing the death of George Floyd, he said, I don't know what to think of anything anymore. And it is interesting that our black children, who we raise the best that we can, are fearing their own lives. Good, like your wife said, good, decent children who are not menace to society, but now they are afraid. Will I be able to see my children grow up? When my 17-year-old son said yesterday, Mom, I'll be 18 in August, but I don't even know when I have a chance to do anything. He said, I haven't even lived yet. So I think the reason why the white community is not respecting the black community, for that simple fact, when you say the blacks kill each other, and we like, okay, yeah, that's not it. We talking about 2 all, but how can we expect anybody on the outside to respect us if the respect is not inside the house? And I think that's what it is. Not to diminish what happened to Brother Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud.
A lot of us.
Right. But I think it's a relationship that the black community has to stand up for one another and take accountability for killing the mothers, the black brothers, the children, so we can be stronger when we confront the enemy. When we confront, I think that will end up strength when we go after those who oppress us and those who are killing us senseless in the streets.
Exactly. What a systematic, if you think about it, what a systematic approach to getting rid of us is to keep us divided. They love watching us kill each other. They're basically doing their job for them.
Yeah, but that's because we're lacking. So if you go to, like you said about other cultures, right? Nobody can break what they have.
Exactly.
Now, obviously, our issue is generational, right? So we came here under extreme circumstances, right? So we don't even know who we are.
Right.
We're already walking around, as we start from the beginning, we're walking around confused. We don't have our fathers. Our mothers have been raped. We got all kinds of, so we're already starting with a fight and a struggle. Mm-hmm. So we have to take responsibility to actually activate a sense of self for our kids, because other cultures they wake up together, they start together, and knowing the history, knowing where we come from, knowing why we have to fight this battle, knowing that they're not going to help us the same way they came over and were like, hey, we had kings and queens. Nobody. I had this conversation with someone the other day. Nobody forced anybody to say, okay, here, I'm going to give you this gold piece and then I'm going to take your slaves, right? So nobody forced that to happen, but it did. So we have to be like, okay, let's start to reconstruct how we
deal with our own selves, how we handle our own institutions, so that we command the respect that we need. Society will, and we can get our friends on board. We can get all of them on board, but we got to take care of ourselves first.
Cheryl, you had said something that really struck a chord with me because if most people don't know, you're listening. Welcome to Black Coffee Conversations. I'm glad everyone's listening to these incredible women. But cousin Cheryl, we all grew up together. We had tons of cousins around each other, and then we all moved. Remember, we all went to that place. But
everybody's caught up in their own world,
right? And then
everybody's doing their own thing.
So
and because it's how we survive, right?
Right.
As people overall, our family didn't do that. They lived together. They stayed like this.
Yeah.
Building. I'll buy this building, you buy that building, I'm gonna buy that building, we're gonna stay together. There are communities that are doing that right now. We know that the Hasidic community, they buy plots of land to keep those people together.
Right, exactly. But and you know, and it's almost like we have lost that sense of community where the church used to be the center of it, because once we started all going to colleges that we can now choose to go to and getting those degrees and making a little bit of money, we left our community.
Yep.
And so those that are not as educated, those that are not as economically strong, we've left them behind. And to now try to go back and get them, things are so out of hand that it seems an overwhelming task. And so we've lost that sense of community, of all being together, looking out for one another. I was having a conversation with my mom the other day, and she was talking about how they used to throw rent parties. When somebody couldn't pay their rent, they would throw a rent party and help that person pay their rent, you know?
Yep.
And I mean, just that to me is what we need. We need each other.
Yeah.
Just like you said, Cousin Cheryl, until we break free of not knowing who we are because of, you know, being stripped from our motherland and divided, and our men emasculated before our very eyes, and our children being ripped from us during slavery and Jim Crow and during the lynchings, and now they've taken off the white sheets and they put on badges and they've got gavels,
Suits.
the gavel and suits and ties,
and podiums.
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and in some cases the White House. So
The White House.
we're in a situation where there is a war on us. And,
so
you know, people say, well, the routing, the looting, and all of it is not the answer. But when Colin Kaepernick kneeled in a peaceful protest, look what you did to him. Look what you stripped that man of his career.
Blackballed him.
He was doing a positive protest.
Yep.
So now they out here tearing up the place, and now, that's okay, but we tried it peacefully, and look what happened.
You know,
I'm not condoning the rioting and the burning down of stuff. I'm not condoning that at all, but we've tried to be peaceful.
Janine, you said something, and someone had wrote on Facebook that if we're in a war, did they want this war to come so we will stay divided and be looked at as the bad guys? Do you think that's part of this issue too?
So maybe go ahead, Sherry.
No, I'm sorry. That's a possibility. We also need to remember it's an election year, and there is a very volatile subject about Joe Biden picking a black female vice president, and this may provide an out.
Yep.
We don't want to forget that, and because remember, just less of a week ago, there was the talk that he was leaning for Amy Klobuchar, and she was the individual who had supposedly prosecuted this particular police officer who had come before her bench supposedly 10 times. Whether that's true or not, at least we know the man's been in trouble a number of times.
Yeah.
Whether it was her bench, somebody else's bench, or anybody's bench, he obviously doesn't have a stellar record.
Well, I want to, and Dr. Paul knows me, I always have to play the devil's advocate on a panel. which which is what I do. I'm in that position as well as an ordained pastor, and so I have to speak on that. And a lot of times when we have things like this, and it is an election year, and there's political stuff going on, we can get lost in the political rhetoric, and the whole focus will shift from the topic at hand. And for us, we have to make sure that whatever's going on in the political world, that we're not being distracted from what's going on with our community. We don't want the political aspect to pull us off of us policing us again. I remember, as we said, that there was a time when, remember this phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village. And I heard Janine say how, we get our degrees and we leave and we don't come back to the community, we forget the community. But sometimes there's a flip side to that as well, where we as a community have to take responsibility. Sometimes our communities forget about us. And we get this attitude, and we talk about the attitudes, and people will get the attitude that, oh, well, you're too too good.
You're too bougie. You're bougie.
You all that, you know what I mean? And they push you, right? And they push you out of your community. And then when you leave the community and you begin to be successful, then the community ostracizes you. Not in any other culture will you see that.
That's true.
I think that piggybacks on what Cheryl was talking about, and not knowing who we are. Because
who we are.
Right. It's because, you look at somebody's success, and instead of being jealous of them or envious, embrace it. And, and see how can I get a piece of this? How do I improve myself? But when you don't know who you are, but most importantly, when you don't know whose you are.
Right.
We are all sons and daughters of the Most High, and are we not?
Yeah.
And when you don't understand whose you are, right?
You there.
And that's when you lose, because when you don't know your self-worth, when you don't know that He made you the way you are because you are uniquely made, then you don't move forward.
You don't. And we get stuck. And we'll get stuck in a place. And then when we get stuck in a place as a community, we will dig our heels in and we will stay there, we will fight for it. And like you said, no, it is not a good thing for us to be, burning down our communities, because at the end of this, and I'm speaking to my brothers and sisters out there, and I know the anger, trust me, I know the anger. I have a black son in the military. I know the anger, and I get it, and we did try to protest peacefully. But also, at the end of it, who's going to rebuild our community?
We are.
After we burn it down, who's going to do that? They're not going to put more money back into it for us to rebuild. So that's where, again, we have to learn how to support one another in our communities, and we have to have accountability for us and for ourselves, and how we cannot allow them to pull us out of who we are right now and have us acting and portraying ourselves the way that they put in people's minds that's see how they are, look how they are.
And
we have to take care of us, because everybody, there's an old saying, everybody that's in your boat isn't rowing for you or with you. There's some of us that ain't rowing for us either, because there's another candidate that looks like us that hasn't been rowing for us, and that has been detrimental for black policing, that is in the top nomination for one of the political VP choices for Joe Biden, and she looks just like us too. So everybody for you ain't for you. We need to take care of us.
So you know what? When Freddie Gray got killed in Baltimore, me and my wife Janine, we go down to Baltimore, and we were working at this shelter, and all around this inner city Baltimore, where all these burnings and townhomes were all burnt and businesses were burnt out, they are still burnt out. They are still vacant and empty. And
blocks of buildings are boarded up.
They're not gonna give us the money to rebuild.
No.
They won't.
Oh no, they're gonna gentrification is what's gonna happen.
They're like, let
vote for us, but are really, sitting in the vote, drilling the hole. And so, but the problem with that is these are the same ones that we will idolize. Those are the same ones that we will push out to the forefront, but we never hear from them unless something like this happens. This is the only time we see their faces, but we always are supporting, we're always pouring our money, we're always doing supporting them on that fact. We want to see you, and I'm not going to throw no names out, but we want to see you all the time. We don't want to see you when some mother has lost her black son and you see a video of him laying in the street and his life is leaving his body. We don't want to see you at that point.
I got
we want to see you within the community all the time.
I got a name.
All the time.
I have a name I'm going to throw out because having women on, I think it's a blessing. I think it's just amazing to have a conversation like this. But Oprah hasn't said nothing. And she is one of those women I don't think is rowing with us anymore. And if she ever has been, she threw her rows out long time ago.
Well, she's rowing for the people in Africa.
Well, you know what?
She's rowing. See, you're right. You about to get beat up on here now.
Denise, she falls in that category that you spoke about earlier. Not to say, so if it benefits you to do something, if it makes you, okay, it's not a nice thing to say why somebody has a motive to do something.
Okay.
But if you've been put on, and you're able to leverage being put on, and you're able to use that as a means to make it look like you're doing something great, and then you will. Now, everybody, she's had the opportunity to, fight against the network, and she got fired, and then she's able to do this, but to your point, Janine, about the community thing and everybody and share the boat. She got her own boat. She taking care of boat.
But again, we can say that. But again, it goes back.
Spread abroad. So what has she done for the people right here where she lives?
That's what I'm saying.
But it goes back. But it goes back again to what me and Janine was talking about. We can throw out these people's names, but the whole point is, the ones that we do support, we don't hear from them.
That's
we
true.
really don't. And the ones that we don't support, we get mad when we don't hear from them. And so again, like him throwing out Oprah's name, which I have no issue with Oprah, that's her thing or whatever. But let's look. What has the black community pushed her? Has the black community supported her?
No.
And things of that nature? No, we have not.
No, we
And
haven't.
so when we see things like this, we're looking at her and say, well, what is she doing? No, we got to look at us and say, what aren't we
Baltimore.
doing?
Build a school in Baltimore.
Why Africa?
Zimbabwe. I ain't saying don't put one in Zimbabwe.
Right.
Do something in Baltimore.
But we can look at that. But we can look at that in a totally different way. I told you guys, I do the devil's advocate thing because I like both sides. I like both sides. I don't want to just see my perspective. I want to see everybody's perspective. And here's the thing: we will pour money into charities. We will pour money into other foundations. We haven't seen them do anything yet either, but yet we put money into it. So my whole point is, again, it goes back to us in our communities. We cannot always look for somebody else to do something. We can do something if, like Janine said, if we get together ourselves, we can do it. We got to quit looking at Hollywood and expecting Hollywood. Quit giving Hollywood your dollars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We give them money for $200 shoes. We're all these games and all this stuff. Our money is going into that, and they got $1 million contracts. But how many of them you walk around with a $200 jersey? What are they doing for your household? So that's what I'm saying. It's us on this level that we have to come together. I have a friend, and I'm gonna be quiet because but again, I have a friend like Janine was saying. If they come from a Hispanic, background, all of them had like 10 people living in one house, and they all worked, and then they bought a house. That person moved out. They all worked, bought the next person a house, and the next person a house until everybody had a house. We won't do that. We will will get in there and the person get a house, and then they'll say, oh, look at them, now their house, or their house bigger than mine, or why is their house better? And so we have to come together as a community first.
And you know what? Actually, our brothers and sisters from the continent of Africa, they do that too. They come over here, they pool their resources. You have 10 families in one townhouse. You know, and we can't.
That's the compound.
We can't even have a sister or brother living with us for too long. So you be like, oh, how long you been here?
You eating up my food.
Yeah, you trifling. But come on, we gotta be real here. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for a minute, because we all know we got some family members that's trifling, and we'll come in, we'll move in, and you getting up, going to work every day, and you coming home and they sitting there playing PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I'm being the devil's advocate. You know, we have that.
Yeah. Back to that.
Yeah, we have
Well,
to be real about it.
I just want to say this. I agree with all you ladies, but I do think right now the black community is seen as a joke. I mean, come on, we're destroying our own communities, and they also, once this blow over, we're not out there protecting our children from sex trafficking. We're not out there making sure our children are safe at bus stops. We're not out there. So it's almost like it's a joke to the rest of the world. They will kill their own. They're not going to protect their own, and they're going to use any excuse. This is what they're going to use, any excuse to go rob and steal. After this is over, you can always tell those who are serious about, are they actually serious about the death of Brother George, Brother Art Berry, Ahmad, or Sister Brianna? You can always tell those who are serious, because they go out and join organizations. They go out and try to be a part. So the black community is a joke. They sit back and laugh, like someone said, doing their work for them. All right, they're going to go kill their women and men, making us weaker just in case we have to come together as a unit. Our men are either locked up, dead, or, so for us, it's a joke on the black community.
So
when this dies, we're going to go back to like nothing has happened.
So
we're not going to, it's not like we're bringing the Black Panther Day, but we're standing and protecting the communities, the families, building things. Come on, it's a joke right now.
So, Dr. Holden, let me ask you this, because I have you ladies on, and would you say men have failed our community in that aspect also? And should our women be the ones who are standing out there and saying we need to sew this together? Because we know the black community, the women held the household together. So is it now time for you to hold our household together?
You know, I do believe that the black men have failed their communities. Someone once said, I think one of the ladies, maybe your Bruce's wife, once we get our degrees and these corporate jobs, we move out of the community. But the ones that do decide to stay here is a very few select. If you notice on the news, there are very few select black men that are always there when something happens. Mm-hmm. But what are we doing on a constant basis? Right. And I do believe the women are raising up to fight for not only their families, but for their communities. Because communities are only strong as a family unit. If you have a weak family unit, the community is going to be weak. Come on, I mean, we got sex trafficking. Our children are being taken right up our noses, and we don't do anything. We're not standing on the street corner to protect those children that are being kidnapped, sex trafficked. You know, we're not doing that. When this is over, that's why it's a joke. It's a joke to them. Let them tell them.
So my question is, why are we not doing it? You got babies having babies. Mm-hmm. So when that baby gotta go and walk 2 blocks to go to school and gotta walk through drug-infested territory, gang-infested territory, where's the mama? She's probably laying up on the couch, sleep or something like that. Cause you know, and then the grandmama, our age these days, and we're going to work. So when Big Mama used to be in the house and go stand out on the porch and watch that baby walk to that school, Big Mama's not there anymore. Auntie's not there anymore.
And like you said, that's the part now where, as long as it's not happening to me, it's not my children, it's not my daughter. Only when the evil hits their household do they want the community to come rally for them.
Who
Baby, yeah.
That's the problem.
But they also got to understand. They also got to understand that back in the day when we were coming up, if your next door neighbor saw you doing wrong,
That's
You
right.
got in trouble.
you got
Yes.
in trouble. You can't do
got
that
in trouble.
today.
The village.
You got to get. You talk to
that was
somebody
the
else's
village
child
master.
sideways,
Yes,
they will come at you.
that's
It's
right.
like, so now we have made each other silent
That's it.
to chastising our children and correcting them
Yep.
when they are in the wrong. So
Because it's an attitude.
so a lot of things we're doing to ourselves, and it's like I said right off the bat when we started this forum today, we got to stop this madness. We got to come together. We got to stand up for one another. We got to respect one another. You know, a lot of what you were saying, honey, about our men failing us. You know, there is some truth to that, but also our men have been emasculated. They've been falsely imprisoned. They have been, undereducated because they are feared. So when you have a group of people, right, when you have a group of people that have been systematically made to feel like they are inferior, it is difficult for them to then come home and be the men that we need them to be.
Okay,
I mean,
so
everything
Janine,
is
one
first.
thing I want when we get into this conversation, so you're right. Number one, the best way for them, so you cannot stop society overall, the globe, the planet, right? You can't stop things overall without breaking everything down.
Exactly.
So they're going to put things, so government, right, big brother, whatever you want to call it, they're going to put things in place so that we have to start. Now, we're broken, right? So, okay, now we don't have to worry about that army over there because we've already broken them down. So as we try to systematically reconstruct, how we want this to go, we know we don't have to worry about that group. We have a stronger voice. Importantly, though, you cannot take the people who stand up. And I think that, Brother Malcolm said this, when he was programmed to be in the lower realm of his existence, he was acting on that lower realm. But as soon as he received the programming to act on a higher realm, then he was able to function on a higher realm. And that's when they were like, okay, we gotta be taken out. He gotta be taken out, right? Because he's gonna say too much and wake up too many people. Conditioning is at the foreground of us creating a groundswell. I'm not mad at anybody who supports my cause. I'm not mad at anyone who is like, I'm going to be a part of that groundswell and I'm going to support your cause. But our house has to be conditioned first. We have to program ourselves to act accordingly.
So
and that's what we need to do.
So when it comes to and again, I want to thank everyone for listening and participating in Black Coffee Conversations, real talk about real issues. And Cousin Cheryl, you all ladies have said something that is this part of us being taught assimilation into a society? And then if so, does that mean we need to create separation? What do you think about that?
Nobody's going. So I think for me personally, I think it's important that we teach ourselves. It's just like the other cultures do, quote unquote, right? We teach what we need to teach within our community. We support our community so that we cannot be broken, but so that we can function in an overall a global society. Because we are not monogamous, right? So it's this we are part of something. There's homogeny going on here. So we do have to coexist with other ethnicities. We are part of the human race, right? So that is first and foremost. We are humans. So what is specific to us, though, is the fact that we are seen by another group of humans as less than important, right? Or maybe they don't even care if we're Black. Maybe it's just like, I'm in a place of power and I just want to show my power. And you are coincidentally Black. Oh yeah, and I know I can get away with it because you Black people don't support each other. So yeah, all right, I'm gonna just throw all of that in together. So wherein we do need to take care of ourselves. My priority is always my people, but I will never ever separate myself from the rest of the other human beings in the world. We all got to function together. I mean, we are humans.
Right. Because
well, I don't think he necessarily
too many
means
of
separate.
because of the civil rights movement, we've had too many die for us to be a part of this United States of America, for us to now want to segregate ourselves because of these issues. I'm with Cheryl on that. It's just us taking care of ourselves within our community so that we can be effective in the world as a whole. But we got to fix, the whole point is we got to stop doing the they and the they and the they, and we have to take responsibility and accountability for what we have done to break our community first. If we take care of what we broke first, then we can start saying, now this is what you guys did to break us. But let us fix what we broke first. It has to be within first. Because as Dr. Holden said, it's a joke now. Because we have children been missing for years and years and years. No one has reached out to those mothers and say, hey, we're with you. Let's start this campaign to find out where your baby is. But then you also have to go where Janine goes. Now we have these moms raising, babies raising babies, and there's this whole attitude, you can't tell me how to raise my children. And all of that, and then hitting back on what Cheryl was talking about with the men being missing and being missing from the household, but it's because they've been emasculated, and the problem is when we do have men missing from the household, we don't have other men to go get those men. We don't have other men, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a cycle, and when you do try to say, hey brother, you need to take care of your family a little bit better, you need to stand up, don't tell me how to run my household. So it's a attitude that has to be fixed within the Black community. We got to get rid of this attitude first.
And you know what, Dr. Karen, when you said that, the first thing came to my mind was the mind shift that I even had for me to take place. For me to go from being 35 and homeless with 6 children, uneducated and underemployed, the mind shift that I had to take to the process I had, it's not an easy process. We're going to have to be real. A lot of people are not going to get on board in the Black community. A lot of people will say, you know what, I'm comfortable where I'm at. Change is painful, and we don't know what's on the other side of change.
That's right.
That's
right.
Yeah.
So for me being homeless and uneducated, I'm 35 years old with 6 kids. I had 4 kids by the time I was 22. I dropped out in 10th grade. So for me to change my mind shift, to go from being homeless to running for city council in 2017, from the GED to the doctorate, and now a 12-time published author, it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. So to be realistic about that, a lot of people are not going to do that. It takes a lot of inner work, but the ones what we have to do is have the things set in place for the ones that says, I'm tired. We're not going to everybody. We're not going to be able to change the whole Black community, but for the ones that say, I'm tired of being in this place, we need to have the programs, the job readiness. We need to have those things in place for those that say, like when I said, I'm tired of being defeated. I'm tired of being educated. It was only until I said I was tired that change took place.
You guys are mentioning now, and you all talked about this, and this is what's coming on to, because when you have hatred, you stay in the lowest conscious state. You stay in the lowest level of existence. And like Cheryl said, when Malcolm started to elevate his consciousness, he was able to vibrate and resonate with his community, and people then flock to it. And I know that and then that's why I'm having this forum, and I'm going to have another forum with some Black men later today. We are feeling pain and hurt and anger, and I know we have to come out of this, but I don't think it takes away from what we have to do. Like you ladies say, we have to fix this broken situation, and it's been broken for a while. And to put it bluntly, like you said, this is why it's Real Conversations, is because people look at this as a joke. And we have probably looked at ourselves as a joke. So we have to change our thinking to get this done. Because right now, if we're going to stay angry and stay hateful and stay mad, then we stay in lower consciousness and we can't change it.
That's right.
And like I said, and like Cheryl said, like, we're not mad at people being mad. We're not mad at you for being angry. We're not mad at you for being hurt. But now, after it's all said and done, don't go back into your hovel and say, I'm done.
Right. We keep want to put a Band-Aid on a broken leg.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We keep putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg, and then, you know, when something happens, then now we're angry because the leg is broken. When you keep putting a Band-Aid on it, you don't want to fix it. You don't want to isolate the incident, and you don't want to fix what's broken. It's easier to just keep saying, y'all broke us, y'all messing with us, y'all did this, y'all did that, but we keep putting a Band-Aid on what we broke. We don't want anybody to tell us that we need to fix us. It's so much easier, like Dr. Holden was saying, it's so much easier to just go loot. It's easier to just burn down the cities. But those who are burning down the cities and those who are looting, they're not out there protesting because of what's happened. They're just out there because they want to be seen and they want to say they were part of this whole scenario. No, we want to see those who are seeking rational. We want the rational people to stand for us. We don't want to see y'all on the news running through Walgreens and everywhere else taking stuff. You guys do not represent the black community.
Exactly. No, you don't represent me either. And you know the problem with that as well, when they go in and I've had this debate on my Facebook with somebody, because I had pointed out, you know, you go in and you burning down the Target and the Walmart and Walgreens and all those places. So what about the single mom who was working there who needs to feed her children?
Right now she don't have a job. She doesn't have a job.
She don't have a job now. And then the person came back to me and said, well, that's the problem. We need to stop trying to have a seat at that table and create our own table. I 100% agree with that. But until that is a reality, right now, she still got to feed her kids.
Our civil rights leaders died so we could have a seat at the table. Exactly. It ain't for us to have a segregated table. They need to see us and they need to hear us, but they need to see and hear us intelligently, with clarity, not out there with the foolishness that we see. Because, like again, what Dr. Holden said, we're still looked at as a joke right now. And just think of George Floyd's mother. This does not at all. This does not at all represent her. It does not at all bring any type of consolation to her son's death. This does not all bring any respect to her son's death. It makes it worse because now we're out here looking like animals, acting like animals. That's what they call us.
But you know, they actually treat their animals better. So,
one Dr. Dyer said, it's easier, and Dr. Carey, it's easier to remain in a place of hate. It's easy. That's probably easiest. You don't have to confront yourself. I this place because I don't have to confront me. I don't have to confront where I'm at in life. I can stay in this low vibrational place and use it as a mechanism to go out to loot, to raid. But like I said, if it was really about the business of changing the narrative, you would do something beyond this. You would go out and make it. And that's what, even for me, been an inspirational speaker. First, as a black woman, I had to liberate my family first, then go out. And I think sometimes with the black community, those of the elite, those with the big churches, we get so confused by thinking that ministry starts outside of the house when ministry really starts outside of the home.
Thank you. No house tore up, but you're trying to tell somebody else how to do their house. Get your house in order, community. Get your house in order. You know what I'm saying? You trying to run the show, but your whole house is in disarray. And that's how we're looking right now. You know what I'm saying? I could not effectively go and minister to nobody if I got the issue I'm trying to tell you to fix. I got it going on in my own home. That just makes the whole word of no effect because I can be seen as a hypocrite because I'm out here trying to tell you what you need to do, but I'm not doing what I'm telling you that you need to do.
Right, but you know, those of us that come together to help each other, those other people that are doing the horrible things, they'll soon go away. And for those folks that want to be helped, we'll be able to help those.
As we can talk about this, and we'll have another forum again. I want to give you guys your last thoughts. Cheryl, you want to give your last thoughts?
I mean, I think that, you know, the more groups of us who are passionate and who do care about our situation, the more groups of us that get together, at a certain point, we can collectively, you know, create a ripple. It does take the focus in our minds to be very specific about what our goals and our needs are, and to condition ourselves, you know, accordingly. But I do think that we do need to have more of these things and make it bigger so that they see a different voice. And so that there are other realities that, you know, like, oh, there are a bunch of them that actually do stick together. Okay. And then let them get scared again. And then let them say, like, okay, we need to, you know, do some things as human beings and do some work that will actually advance all people that are living here. But it starts at home first. And, you know, we should actually, I'd say, like, shoot every other person who has the mindset to actually create the shift and get it going.
Janine, my wife, please.
Well, my final thoughts on this as a aunt and wife to black men in my life, a sister. I just want my brothers and my sisters as well, because the attack is on this brown, black skin across the board. That we have gotten through tougher things, that we are a race that, as Maya Angelou always said, and still we rise. Yeah. And that I know that for whatever we are experiencing this and have been experiencing this for generations, that God has always seen us through, and we just have to stick together, love each other, respect each other, hold each other accountable, and protect one another.
Miss Sherry?
To piggyback on everything that the part, I would like to add that we are going to have to learn to be resilient, persevere, and hard things, including mental health issues, educational issues, tread those waters that we haven't treaded, and reach out to folks that we haven't reached out to yet, and pull those folks up that need to be pulled up, and lose the dead weight, because some folks don't want to be saved.
Dr. Karen?
Really, my final thought is this: we have to be realistic where we are in our community. We have to be realistic. It's going to take responsibility. It's going to take accountability. We can no longer just point the finger. We really have to do something. It's going to take more than a shared post on social media, angry, a rant on social media. We've got to get uncomfortable with being comfortable and get out and really join some of these organizations to help us rebuild our communities, and to get and let's put people in place that are really for social change for everyone. We can't do this whole we're just gonna back you because you black. No, because like everyone has said, we got some black people that ain't rooting for us. Okay, let's actually get someone who is about social change on a whole. And again, we just got to get uncomfortable with being comfortable and not saying anything and not doing anything. And let's quit forgetting about those who are still out there missing. Let's not wait until it's your baby. Okay, let's not wait until it's your sister's baby, and then we want everybody to get up in arms. Let's take care of all of our babies. Remember, it takes a village. Let's get back to that. It takes a village to raise a child, and so it's not for us. And the child right now is our community, and it's going to take this whole entire black village to raise this community.
Dr. Holden, please.
Well, I was reminded by the work of the late Dr. Miles Monroe that adversity introduces man or woman to themselves. as a Black community, we need to use this adversity to change do some inner work. To change our household first, men, women. Like you said, I was a young teen mom, but now it's the time to take that anger and first do some inner work so we can save our children, our household. And then once we save our household, I do believe our communities will be stronger. And so for me, it's time out for the BS. It's time out for going out there trying to look like you in something, you got your signs, but when this is over, you go back to your little part of your little world, your house, and you don't really care about what's taking place. It's time for us to get into action. I'm ready. I taught my 6 children that the only thing I feel is have any eternal merit to it is service to others. Whatever it is, serve your community, serve your family. And so for me, Black community, we got to wake up for real. Not just for the cameras, not just for a free ride to go steal and loot, but we got to wake up, save our families first, and then we'll be able to save our community.
I want to say just thank you. There's nothing I want to really say at all. There's nothing more than emotions felt, but us speaking and talking, I hope it does help people heal and have conversations and real thought about what we said, about specifically, we have to do what we can do to do better, period. I mean, no more arguing against each other, no one fighting each other. We just got to be better because we are looked at as a joke and they're laughing and we're burning. And that has to stop. So Dr. Holden, please pray us out, and then we'll say, I'm not even going to talk after the prayer. I just want to say thank everyone for listening to Black Coffee Conversations, and I will see you guys again later. Always catch my stuff on my podcast, my YouTube channel, and view and comment. And if you guys have another thought about another conversation, please let me know. So Dr. Holden, please pray us out.
Yes. Father God, we thank you for this opportunity for us to come together, oh God, to voice what's on our hearts. But Father God, we ask that you give us a plan that will actually make a difference. Father God, let us know what we need to do to make a change in our own household so that we can make a change in our community and then globally. Father God, we thank you for raising up the leaders, oh God, leaders that have heart after you, oh God, not after their own agenda, but leaders that truly want to see a healed nation. Father God, I thank you right now for putting this on Dr. Dyer's heart, oh God, where he's bringing men and women to discuss the important topics that need to be discussed so we can bring prominent and everlasting change. We thank you, oh God, and I pray that you use every woman on this broadcast to make a change in their own little world, nationally, globally, however you're going to use